Welcome back to The Pain Game. Today we are reacting to the press conference of Chris Eubank Jr. versus Connor Benn. The rivalry continues. The fathers fought over 30 years ago, multiple times. It was one of the best rivalries in British boxing history. And now the sons continue it all these years later. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like this in boxing. And the press conference really kicked off.
I want to be seated as close to my enemies as possible. I want to be able to see.
I agree. This was Eddie's choice. This was Eddie's.
Of course it was Eddie's choice. Of course Eddie wants the promoters to be in between the fighters. So I'm going to sit here, and Ben, you should sit there.
Interesting to see immediately Chris Eubank Jr. taking control of the situation. Let everyone know I'm the fucking boss here. The mind games between these two is not going to be like normal fighter mind games. These lads grew up in households with their dads talking about how much they can't wait to beat the other guy up. This is in their blood, man. And they were supposed to fight before, and obviously Connor Benn popped dirty on a drugs test, which has just added even more spice to this situation.
I don't know who the fuck you're talking to.
Good idea, Chris.
I don't know who you think you're talking to, silly bollocks.
Interestingly, Connor Benn stayed right where he was. He didn't do as Chris Eubank Jr. told him to. I actually think Eubank is right. It does make sense to have the fighters in the first position here, because I want to see them looking at each other when they're talking shit instead of having to look past people. That doesn't make any sense to me. But I get Connor Benn's just like, I'm not doing what you're fucking telling us. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm doing the opposite.
We got to a stage, the fight was announced.
Eddie.
It was the...
You know I don't like you, right?
I don't know.
So if you know that, what on God's sweet green earth makes you think I'm going to sit here and listen to any of the bollocks that you have to say about
To be honest, I mean, you're going to have to.
No.
You are?
We're not. We're going to have some parliamentary procedure here today.
Okay. Well, one thing's for sure, you ain't no prime
And
minister.
we're going to skip past whatever bullshit it was you thought you was going to talk about, and we're going to continue on with the press conference. Ade, you may proceed.
Fucking hell. Chris Eubank Jr., he may not be the best fighter in the world, but he makes people give a fuck. And in these press conferences, let's be real, boxing has some terrible press conferences, and Eubank Jr. lights that shit up. And that little quote of parliamentary procedure sounds a bit weird, right? For those who don't know, his dad used that exact phrase in the build-up to Eubank Sr. versus Connor Benn's dad, Nigel Benn, all those years ago. So there's just little callbacks, and you have to imagine now older boxing fans watching this, watching these two sons following their father's footsteps like this, continuing the beef. This is deeper than beef. It is pretty amazing, this.
Saying, Eddie.
No.
No. You get your turn.
This is not the Eddie Hearn show.
One thing's for sure, it ain't the Chris Eubank show.
This is not.
I must admit, it literally is the Chris Eubank show. It's Chris Eubank versus Connor Benn. So Eubank's got him on that one. However, Eddie has every right to be talking here. But I do, again, Eubank's telling everyone, I'm in charge. I'll say who can talk. I'll say who can't talk.
You can either sabotage the event, and I'll just start talking to Ben personally, directly, or you can be quiet and we can move on with the press conference. I don't want to hear anything you have to say.
I mean, you can do whatever you want.
We can be here all day.
I've been addressed.
We can be here all day.
I've been addressed.
I don't want to hear what you have to say.
You know what the maddest bit is, and I'm sure you all know already. He sat there this entire time with a fucking pocket full of eggs and his Louis Vuitton jacket there. Just knowing, look at that smug look on his face, knowing the entire time, I'm going to dash these off this guy's face when we face off. What a conniving bastard. I love it.
How are we feeling about smashing this geezer to pieces April 27th?
Let's hear from Connor.
Do you know what? Listen, Chris can say what he wants. The bottom line is, his dad don't even like him. You could not pay that man enough money to sit in this man's corner. Now that's an accomplishment, Chris.
Oh, fuck me. This is really going to be bad, isn't it? This is really, really getting bad. For those who don't know, obviously, Connor Benn is sat there with his dad, Nigel Benn, to his left-hand side. They are very, very close. They've always been close. There's not been any fallings out as far as I'm aware. Whereas Chris Eubank Jr. and Chris Eubank Sr., it's been a very difficult relationship, probably because they're so fucking similar. A lot of the qualities that we had liked in Eubank Sr., Jr. has in that arrogance, that smugness, that showmanship. And they've all both got their own way of doing things, and they clash. And I don't understand where the fuck Sr. is because this is your boy here. You brought him into this world, and he's carrying on your legacy against your arch nemesis' son, and you're nowhere to be seen? What the fuck, man? Like, this is your chance to stand with your son and be a part of something very special, something that you started even. And it's a real shame that he's not turned up. And maybe Chris Eubank Jr. is just an arsehole. Realistically, it's your son. And Chris Eubank Jr. has appealed to his father. Please be a part of this. Stand with me on this. And he's not showed up. And Connor Benn put a tweet out the other day about, you know, at least my dad is in charge of money to be a part of this. Maybe Eubank Senior's asked for money. And if you're trying to cash in on your own son's payday like that, it's fucking, it's shit, man. I don't know if that's true. I don't know if it's just an allegation by Ben, but I hope it's not true.
That's an accomplishment. Well done. The most unlikable geezer on the planet. Even your dad don't like you.
Maybe.
Shit, man.
Maybe.
Drop the mic.
That's a hell of a line, by the way. Fucking hell.
Everyone wanted you to win. Everyone wanted you to be the next big thing in boxing. I never had that.
No one cares.
You know what I would have given to be in that situation that you were in?
I get where Eubank's going with this, by the way, in that Eubank was sort of hated from day one, whereas Connor Benn had a lot of like immediate fans of his, and especially with his exciting style. And I think he's obviously pushing towards the fact that Connor Benn got a ban that ended up getting lifted from the drug suspension.
Now, you're here. We're at this press conference. We're going to fight, and you're going to try and use me to get back into the public's good graces. It's just not going to happen for you, kid. Sorry to break it to you. I
like the way he's big brothering him, though. Like, it's not going to happen for you, kid. He is a bit of an OG now in the game, Eubank Jr., and whereas Connor is at the start of his career, coming into his prime, and he does want to make him feel like, you better look up to me, psychologically.
You've always said openly, privately, that you feel like you can get this job done within 6 rounds. You expect to get it done within 6 rounds. I think we all know how tough this man is. Why are you so confident that you can knock Chris Eubank Jr. out that quick?
Do you know what? I just can't take him seriously, that's all. Just look at his career. Every time he's stepped up, he's fouled. Every time. Yeah, you face better oppositions, well done you, but this is the end of your career. This is the end.
I get where he's going with this, in that Connor Benn's a smaller guy, right? He's jumping up weight class by two weight classes, I think it is. If he comes up and flattens Eubank Jr., all of the big paydays that could be waiting for him if he wins this fight, like a Canelo Alvarez, gone. And you've been fucked up by a guy who shouldn't even be in your weight class. Like, it pretty much is curtains. And I don't say Eubank wanting to rebuild. What is he, 35? I don't say him wanting to rebuild at that age. There's a lot riding on this for Eubank Jr. A lot more than what there is for Conor Benn, who, if he goes up, fails, he can rebuild. He can still have a successful career at a lighter weight class and say, well, I tried. It was a heavier weight. There's more riding on this for Eubank Jr.
I'm 28.
Wow.
Do you know what I mean? You choose to fight a welterweight over Shiraz.
What was your
over Janibek, over Adamas, over anybody with a world title. You choose to fight a welterweight. Your career's done.
You're not a welterweight.
You've achieved your career.
You fought a light middleweight in your last
fight. I fought a light middleweight to prepare for you.
Okay,
so that's all. I'm a welterweight.
No, you're not.
I'm a welterweight.
You'll be a welterweight.
And you are going to get beat. You are going to get rendered unconscious by a welterweight. Rendered, yeah, exactly. Like Liam Smith.
I think Ben is getting a little bit of the better of the sparring here in the fact that he's annihilating Chris's career a bit. Not annihilating, like, it's not a terrible career, but the whole point of him, every time you stepped up to the top level, you failed. There is truth in that. Liam Smith, you could argue, being the exception, but he got knocked out by Liam Smith the first time. So there is question marks, huge question marks over Eubank Jr.'s career and Connor Benn. But Connor Benn, the question marks are there because of his age. He hasn't had the opportunities yet. He's been on a ban. It's been a fucking difficult time for him. Eubank Jr. has had the opportunities and they haven't come off for it.
He cannot beat me, that's for sure.
Based on what? Billy Joe, George Groves, Liam Smith. I'm undefeated here. You've tasted defeat. You've been rendered unconscious before. You was eating the canvas, literally.
Rendered unconscious? I finished the fight with my feet, my friend.
Well, your corner saved you. Otherwise, you definitely would have been eating the canvas.
Rendered unconscious is far from what I was.
Connor Benn is becoming the aggressor in these verbal exchanges. And ironically, I expect the fight to be quite similar in that I expect Connor Benn to be the one coming forward and Eubank Jr. on the back foot. And this is kind of how the verbal sparring is going. And it's purely because Eubank Jr. has had a longer career. He's an older guy. There's more to talk about. There's more to say this went wrong, that went wrong. Again, there's not as much data on Connor Benn, but I think this really suits the mentality of Connor Benn. He is an aggressive guy anyway.
When Eddie and Connor started demanding that there was a rehydration clause for this fight, guess what I said? Show me the money. Show me the money. That's what I said, you know.
You know why?
If you're going to have that advantage over
poker,
me,
that's why you need the money.
if you're going to have that advantage over me,
You're shit at poker, that's why
then
you need
you've got to
the money.
have, then you've got
That's
to
why
pay
you've
top
taken
dollar.
this fight.
You've got to pay. I'm not going to give you that advantage for free.
Anyway, Addy,
You
they
are
signed
shit
And
a
at
that's
poker.
contract.
exactly what
They
they've done.
signed a
And that's
contract.
why
Apparently he got
you're
all the
taking this
money,
fight.
he signed the contract.
That's right. They paid me
Congratulations. We'll see you Saturday morning for
to
the
do
weigh-in.
the rehydration
We'll
clause.
see you there Saturday morning for the weigh-in.
Eddie's really in this, by the way. This is personal, Eddie, and let's not forget, there was that press conference a while back, I covered this on the Pain Game, where Chris Eubank Jr. called Eddie Hearn a scumbag. And Eddie's very invested in this, right? We've seen, you know, things have been a bit hit and miss for his fighters lately. He's got a lot riding on this. Let's not kid ourselves here. Connor Benn, before the ban, was his next big star, was someone he was looking at thinking, right, AJ's retirement is on the horizon, I need him to take over and really hold Matchroom down. If Connor Benn loses this, it's a big blow to Eddie, so he's in this. And now, a word from our sponsors. Now, I've been doing a lot of traveling lately, from Saudi Arabia to LA, and I know a lot of you've got travel plans for 2025, and there is one app that you have to download, and that app is Saily. Now, Saily is a brand new eSIM service app, and what it does is it gives you a local SIM card that you can use when you're traveling, so you don't have to pay those crazy roaming fees just to send a text back home. They've got eSIM plans for over 160 countries and 8 regions, so wherever you're going, they're going to be able to make sure you're connected. Now, all you've got to do is click the link in the description below, and you can download the app to iOS or Android. Then you buy your plan, just choose the best time frame for you. Then you just install the eSIM on your phone, and when you land at your destination, you can activate your plan instantly. And with Saily, your eSIM only ever has to be installed once, so after each trip you can turn the eSIM off, and then when your next one comes along, you buy a new plan for where you're going, switch your eSIM back on, and boom, you're back in business. And what I love about Saily is that when I went to LA, the eSIM for them was actually faster than the hotel Wi-Fi. And obviously when I left the hotel, I didn't have to worry about not having any Wi-Fi and all of that nonsense because I was constantly connected. So what you're waiting for? Get sorted for your next trip away by clicking the link in the description below and downloading Saily now. Just go to saily.com/paingame and use the code PAINGAME. That's all block capitals, all one word, to get 15% off your first purchase. And a big thanks to Saily for keeping us connected on our travels. But for now, enjoy the video.
How many eggs did you have to eat to fail those 2 drugs tests? You dirty little
The
omelet.
reality is...
Please tell me.
The reality is...
It's been racking my brains for a long time.
No problem.
Everyone wants to know. How
The
many eggs did you eat?
the reality is, I've been cleared 3 times by the NADP, by the WBC, by UCAD, by the way, which people are a lot smarter than you. Number 1, I've been cleared. 2, you will never be cleared of being a wanker.
It's a good reply from Connor Benn. However, it's a question that is ringing throughout the boxing community, which what we hear from Eddie Hearn, we hear from Connor Benn, and I understand that their point is, we've been cleared. Great. I'm delighted to hear that. I always wanted him to be innocent, but clear doesn't necessarily mean innocent. And one thing that's seemingly never been asked in public by any of these journalists, and credit to Eubank Jr. for being the first one, how did that happen? How did you fail those tests? Why? This is something that boxing fans, before they can get back onto the Connor Benn, bandwagon, want to know. Because simply saying I've been cleared, well, your lawyers could have put pressure on these, governing bodies and forced them to say, well, we can't technically prove that things were proper, and it could be like a litigation issue of forcing them to clear you, rather than saying he was cleared of any wrongdoing, he was actually innocent. This is why there was a contamination in the sample. Whatever. Tell us why. And until boxing fans get that answer, there's always going to be speculation. Now, look, I'm personally happy to say, all right, if you're innocent, great, let's move on from it. We'll never mention it again because you might never fail a test again, and that would be brilliant. And then we can chalk that off to a contamination or whatever. But we need a reason. We need to know what went on. And I've heard some people say, well, it's none of your business, did it? No, it's the fans who pay for the pay-per-views, and it's the fans who want to know who's cheating, who's actually not cheating, because we're the ones who get behind these fighters and put money in their pockets. And I'm not even accusing Connor Benn of being a cheat, because I do believe that mistakes can be made, accidentally consuming a supplement or whatever. But that's a big question he's asked there.
It's Ben versus Eubank. The limit 160 pounds. The family feud goes on.
This is where he pulls the eggs out right now. Wow!
Tempest flare in there. I got that one wrong, didn't I?
Look at Eddie. Look at Eddie. Eddie's fucking going for it with Ben Shalom. Eddie's just pushed Ben. Let's see that in an instant replay. I've got the angles for you, don't worry. I can't believe he was sitting on those eggs the whole press conference like a fucking hen. He's wearing some expensive shit, right? If one of those eggs accidentally cracks, which would be pretty easy, your fucking Louis Vuitton jacket, which is worth however much, is fucked. He doesn't give a shit. I'm a bit frugal like that. And I guess the eggs is a perfect symbol for him of being like, I made weight last time and you failed this test potentially because of how many eggs he consumed or whatever. And I fucked my whole career up. He drained himself so badly, ended up getting knocked out in his next fight. He did all that preparation to not fight, to not get paid. And this is my payback right now. I'm not saying I agree with it, by the way, but fuck me. He just sold that fight like no one's business. And I get why he's trying to do this, because you think about the level of pressure riding on this, right? You've got 30 plus years of listening to their dads talking about the other guy and their rivalry, and now you then have to fulfill your dad's legacy by beating his enemy's son. When they get in that ring, it's not just a boxing match. This is about family. It adds a lot to it. And the fighter who can fight the fight and not the occasion, not all of the emotion, will be probably the one who wins it. So if you can get in the other guy's head in the meantime and wind him right up, and Connor Benn already has a fucking temper, for Christ's sake. He's always angry. His default setting is pissed off. If you can wind him up, he may be reckless. He may make mistakes. He may fight too much on emotion. And it may prove to be a smart move from him, this. Or it may fucking wind Connor Benn up even more and make him even more dangerous. I think Connor Benn is aware of that as well, judging by this clip.
I rate it, to be fair. It's not really like his thing, is it? It's not really his personality. People say I'm phased and rattled, but the reality is, who's really more phased and more rattled? You look at the top table, what do you see? A broken team.
Yeah, he's making shots about the dad again.
I don't think I'm the one that needs to keep his composure. I'm always intense. It's always personal. I'm always aggressive. Nothing new changes with me. Nothing at all. I don't lose my head. Whereas he's the one who needs to keep his composure. It's very out of character for him. Not sure if he's trying to sell the fight or if he thinks riling me up is going to work. He ain't. He's an idiot.
What I really like about Connor is he's actually thinking quite cleverly there on a psychological level. Like, my baseline is I'm always like this. I'm not the one who's behaving differently. He's never cracked anyone over the face with an egg before during a press conference. He's the one who is taking this more seriously, taking this to another level. Maybe he's right. And you look at this slow motion replay. Look at the dad here. That's Nigel Benn, and he goes straight for the throat of Chris Eubank Jr. Fuck me, look at how angry fucking Connor Benn is. It really hits home even more when you see it's kicked off now. Nigel Benn has managed to slip around the security guards, grabs Chris Eubank Jr. by the throat. Where's Chris Eubank Sr.? You're supposed to be backing it for your son here. Where the fuck are you, mate? Because your nemesis has just put his hands on your son. I know he's 58 years old. I don't give a shit, man. This is bigger than your fucking ego. This is family fucking pride here. Things that you started and your son's trying to finish it. I think it's such a letdown for his dad to not be there for him in this moment. If not now, then when? Chris Eubank tweeted out afterwards, excellent, with egg all down the face of Connor Benn. Fuck me, that's one angry young man. Fucking hell. I tell you what, if Eubank Jr. gets knocked clean out now, people will point back to this and go, you probably shouldn't have done that. And you even see here, Eddie Hearn going over to Ben Shalom and pushing Ben Shalom here. There's Ben, and Eddie's pushing him off. Even the promoters have got beef here. So that was the press conference for Eubank Jr. versus Connor Benn. They were supposed to do another one the next day. Cancelled. They didn't trust either guy to be even anywhere near each other. This is what we want, right? April 26th, the fight is at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think, which is going to be a fantastic stadium to hold such a massive event. There's also other great fighters on the undercard. My guy Vidal Riley is going to be on the undercard, and he's a Spurs fan, so I'm very happy for him. Let me know in the comments below early predictions for this big fight. I can't wait to see what you lot make of it. Tell me who wins and why. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the Pain Game YouTube channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.